Hey guys, welcome back for another video. What we're going to be doing is we'll be breaking down the Vegas predictions on who's going to be the favorite for the 2026 Super Bowl. We know we just had the Super Bowl and last night we have the Philadelphia Eagles are now going to be the defending champions going into the 25-26 season. But it's never too early to start looking at what Vegas predicts is going to happen next season. Who are going to be the favorites to win next year's Super Bowl matchup? Guys, first things first, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below and I will respond to every single one of them. So we have the Vegas bets. The moment the Super Bowl ended, the moment the Eagles beat the crap out of the Chiefs, Vegas started predicting out towards next season, getting ready for the next bank, what's going to be happening next year, getting us prepared. Now that the season's over, the next thing we have coming up is the draft. But now it's time to start preparing to how our favorite teams are going to look going into next year. We know there's going to be a lot of off-the-season moves. There's going to be trades. There's going to be guys getting cut. There's going to be guys getting signed. There's going to be players getting drafted. The rosters that we see today might not necessarily be the roster we have in the 25 opener. But let's get started looking at this. So CBS came out with this poll. This is based off of Vegas. We have, obviously, you have the defending champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. They come in right now. They are the overwhelming slight favorites here to be favored to win the Super Bowl next season. Right now, you see them, they're coming in plus 625, the Eagles. They're the favorites. They're the champ. The way they performed this playoffs, the way they performed throughout the entire 24-25 season, they were lighting it up. They were lighting it up on offense. They were lighting it up on defense. Very talented. The number one overall defense, giving up 17.8 points a game, 189 passing yards per game, 185 rushing yards per game. Probably the most balanced team with a top three offensive line. They're bringing back a lot of those guys. Hurts, Barkley, Brown, Smith. There's playmakers up and down. One of the best overall offensive rosters with the best running back in the NFL and the best defense, the best secondary in the NFL, a top three front seven as well. So obviously, them being the champs, in order to take the champs' place, you gotta beat them. They have to be the favorites for next season. That doesn't mean they're gonna win it, but as of right now, you have to favor them. Obviously, looking at these odds here, next you're gonna have, obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot of unknown with the Chiefs. They probably should have been the team that was in the Super Bowl. Let's just call it what it was. Whatever you think happened that Bills game, the Bills probably would have put up a better fight versus the Philadelphia Eagles because they had a better offense than the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, they only averaged 22 points a game, very lacking throughout the entire season on the offensive side. They had a top 10 defense, but they had number 17 overall offense, and Travis Kelce might not be back next season. We don't necessarily know right now. Well, we'll have to kind of hold things off on them, but if Travis Kelce's gone, that is a massive piece for the offense. He's been there the entire time Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback. He's his security blanket. On third down, third and long, Mahomes is always looking for Travis Kelce. If that guy's not there, someone else is going to have to step up to take his place. But one thing you have going for them, first round pick Worthy. I was very high on Worthy coming out of Texas. He showed out that Super Bowl game, especially second half, 159 receiving yards. He can be that go-to guy. He can be their next version of Tyreek Hill. They haven't had a true great wide receiver threat since Tyreek Hill went to Miami. Maybe it's going to be Worthy. That would obviously help Patrick Mahomes out. He needs a better offensive line. He needs some running back help. He needs a new young tight end, and they need better playmakers on the wide receiver core. They have a lot of issues on offense. Defense will still be good. Right now, I probably wouldn't put Kansas City as the number 2 overall favorite team for next season, but either way, they're still going to be talented. They're still going to be in the discussion technically. Buffalo Bills, stack team. They have I'd say an above average offense, but they have a above average defense. They have a very good offense. They finished this season with the number 2 offense, averaging 31 points a game. They have Josh Allen. He's the defending MVP, put up crazy numbers, 41 overall touchdowns, only played 1 snap the last week. This is a guy, he can light it up, they can throw it, they can run it. His best, most efficient season this season kept the turnovers down. Like I said, 41 overall touchdowns, 14 rushing touchdowns. He can throw it, he can run it. And Cook, one of the more underappreciated running backs in the entire nation. They have a pretty decent wide receiver core, but they don't have an elite wide receiver core. They don't have a Diggs, which is probably good if they don't have Diggs because he had a lot of off-the-field stuff, but they don't have a true number 1 threat wide receiver. If they add that to the Bills team, this is going to be a team that could potentially be favored to win the Super Bowl next season. Then you have Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore is one of the more stacked teams this is. This is one of the best top to bottom rosters in the NFL. The number one rush defense, the best front seven in all of the NFL this past season. Secondary, a little questionable, but they did perform pretty well the last month of the season. But they have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, what do you have? 45, 46 overall touchdowns. His best season of his career. The guy already has 2 MVPs so far. He's a young guy, ran for over 1,000 yards, threw for like 4,100 yards, 46 overall touchdowns, loaded. They have Derrick Henry, who had just shy of 2,000 yards. They have a loaded wide receiver core, Flowers, Bateman. They have a lot of weapons to spread the ball out to. Andrews, likely. This is a team that could easily compete for the Super Bowl. Very top-heavy list. Once you start getting past those top 5 or 6 teams, it starts to get a little questionable. Next, you have the Detroit Lions. Oh, what could have been if the Detroit Lions were not banged up, did not lose a lot of their defensive stars, Hutchinson, guys like that. They were not able to play second half of the season. That held this team back. They could score on everybody, but their defense went from a top 5 defense to like number 15 to 17 overall defense. But they did finish the season 33.2 points a game, the number 1 offense. They are loaded. Are they going to be able to bring everyone back? Goff, great season. Gibbs, Montgomery, St. Brown, so many weapons. Might be the best overall offensive roster, but you need that defense to help them out. They got to get that defense back to being healthy. If fully healthy, they were a Super Bowl caliber team this season. After that, San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco, what are you getting here? This is where you start to go from elite. I'd say Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Lions. Those are elite teams. Those are all Super Bowl caliber teams. After that, we're starting to get those outliers who could potentially make a strong run, finish the second half of the season. A lot of momentum, finish it strong, ride that up to the Super Bowl. 49ers might have the best roster in the NFL when they're healthy. That is the major thing, though, when they are healthy. They were not healthy at any point during the 24 season. They were banged up. Purdy had an awful season. Kittle, Ayuk, Samuel, McCaffrey, Mason, everyone was banged up. They weren't able to field the team. We're not able to field a complete defense. We're not able to field a complete offense. Who would have known what would have happened had they had them? They just went to the Super Bowl, just barely missed out on winning a Super Bowl, had Super Bowl expectations this season, getting revenge, getting back to the Super Bowl, but they were just banged up. But like I said, when this team is healthy, they're a team you have to keep your eye on, but it will have been 2 years now since they would have been healthy, so I want to see it to believe it right now. After that, might be the best young up-and-coming team, the Washington Commanders. They went from a team with a top pick to almost making the Super Bowl this past season, all due to the season that Jaden Daniels had. This guy lit it up, the offensive rookie of the season. They have Scary Terry, Robinson Jr. They just need, I'd say, a better run game. Jaden Daniels was kind of a hat-fits-all. He was doing everything the entire season, lit it up. One of the better rookie seasons we've seen since like a Robert Griffin type season. He really lit it up, but he needs some help. If they add another wide receiver to this team, this is going to be a pretty scary team. This is an up-and-coming team, finished 12-5, complete flip-flop season. They went from number 1 draft pick to now they're going to be competing to Super Bowls. This is a team, this is a guy that we want to watch. If you are a free agent wide receiver or running back, you want to go play for the Washington Commanders right now. That's a complete flip. This is one of those outlier teams that I think next season they're going to be moving into that elite category. They're not going to surprise everyone because now we are expecting them to make deep runs in the playoffs. Then you have the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, great defense, great offense. It all goes down to Jordan Love and the type of game that he has. When he's on, he can sling it. He can run it. They have Jacobs, one of the more underappreciated running backs. They don't have a true, number 1 wide receiver, Reed and stuff like that. They don't have a true threat, someone who can stretch the field. They haven't really had a true number 1 wideout since Devontae Adams. But when this offense is clicking, it all comes down to Love. Sometimes he has 3 turnovers a game. Sometimes he has 4 to 5 total touchdowns. It goes back and forth, but this is a team that when they play well, they can beat anyone. It's just a 50-50 shot. Can they play up to their expectations? Young team. So they're going to continue to get better. They have the quarterback that they need for the future. Just continue to build those blocks around him. Then after that, you have the Cincinnati Bengals. What a season Joe Burrow had. Led the NFL, touchdowns, yards, but his defense, one of the worst, the second to worst defense in the NFL, just behind the Panthers. They were averaging 28 points a game, but they were giving up 29 points a game. The guy can only do so much. He had an elite wide receiver core this season. offensive line was just buying him time for him to get into a shootout with everyone. But if they did not have the ball last on offense, they were going to lose the game because their defense was definitely going to give it up. If they just get a little better on defense, if they just get to an average ranked defense, they don't even have to be good, just average. This is a team that could make a deep playoff run. Finished, I think they went, 8-9 this season, if I remember right. So they just barely missed out. They almost had a shot to make the playoffs. They didn't get it. But when you have Joe Burrow, that's a guy, he's been in the playoffs before. He's performed at a high level. You got to keep your eye on them because they have an elite offense. At least they're good at one thing. They can't stop you, but they can score points. They can at least win a shootout game. After that, we're looking at the Rams. The Rams might be getting blown up this offseason. This is one of those teams, Stafford, Cooper, Kupp. They have Nakua, Williams, Atwell, a lot of playmakers, but who's going to be suiting up for this team in the 25-26 season? Then you have the Chargers. Herbert had a great season. They need more consistently from the running back position. McConkey, they need another guy at the wide receiver, someone else to help stretch the field, take the pressure off of him. They did have the number 2 overall defense. This is a team, Harbaugh, Herbert, they're going to go places. They just need a couple more pieces, but maybe that's what they add in the offseason. And the last team that we'll take a look at here is the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, they lost a lot of their playmakers. They lost Diggs. They were getting destroyed at the wide receiver position. But when they're on Nico Collins, they have Stroud at quarterback. They have a decent defense. They were capable of competing in the playoffs, but they're just not good enough to get over that hump. But that's one of those outlier teams. If they continue to add pieces, Stroud sophomore season, a little questionable. Solid rookie season. He has to get back to the season he had last year, and this is a team that can also compete. So that's just our early look at the playoff favorites, the Super Bowl favorites for the 25-26 season. Guys, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below, and I will respond. Thank you.